stick with what we got.
Okay.
They say that a lot with supplements too.
And I hate it so
I'm going
much. Like, you don't know
to
nothing.
keep what I
I'm
have.
an educator, not you.
So the gut reaction of a big D would be to say something like, well, that insurance company's just going to keep overcharging you too then. But that doesn't really diffuse the situation. So what the way I would normally go with that is I would say, hey, I completely understand that. There is some level of comfort that people get when they have the same coverage for a while. They begin to trust it and think that the name of the company is, really what's providing them that good value. Truth be told, the way the insurance laws are written, you can get the same policy somewhere else, and it's a lower cost. Let me ask you, how much could your current company go up before you would consider shopping it, or something like that? That's but basically the concept is to keep them talking and keep them thinking about it, and keep some dialogue going. Because if they're saying that, they probably haven't bought you yet. That's the difference. Because the name of the company, let's say they have State Farm, and you're quoting them MetLife, right? Well, they've heard of MetLife, so there's a name brand there. State Farm's got a bigger name brand, but at a certain point, they still have an affinity they don't have enough affinity for you to overcome their affinity for State Farm or their old agent. One or the other. A lot of times it's just the company. But if you, and I guarantee you, some of these people, if you let them off the phone, they're going to call around and start shopping it with other people and still lower their rate somewhere because you've intrigued them to look at it, especially if you had told them a much lower figure. They just don't trust you yet. So you have to figure out a way to keep them talking to build rapport and make them like you. Because, sales is, most of the time you're selling yourself to people. They have to trust you. So, if you called somebody out of the blue, if you're calling somebody out of the blue, you're up against a wall because you don't have any, recognition with them. If you're calling somebody that's already like a current client for Medicare and we're cross-selling the P&C side, that probably is a little bit easier to get them talking because they already have some tie to us. But if you're calling somebody out of the blue, that's where you're going to get this objection more, I would assume. If it's a lead. Because calling a lead, by the way, is still calling somebody out of the blue.
Well, the ones that I'm calling for y'all's current clients, it's really old men. They just don't want to deal with it.
Well, they don't want to deal with it. But, those same old men call us complaining when they get a $20 increase on Medicare supplement.
I know.
So I would ask them, I would just be nice. Some of these questions that I want to ask, because especially if you're talking to a man, because a lot of them have a little bit of that, that D aggressive mentality too, and that's kind of what's coming off when they say something like this. And so what you would say is, continue to be friendly. I understand, the trust you get into a company when you've had them for a long time. Nobody likes change, say things like that, and say, but let me ask you, how much could that company go up and you keep paying it, or how high could it get before you would start considering that there might be alternative options? And then, normally that's just going to make them think a little bit. They're not going to say 136%. They don't have a number there. It's just going to make them think that. And you can, then say, because that's what that company's been doing, is they've been testing you and going up for years and a little bit at a time, and you don't ever notice it because it's small increments, but now you're paying probably a great deal more than you'd have to somewhere else. And these companies are all A-rated. We're talking about the same limitations and coverage limits, so it really isn't much of a difference to shop it. So what's really holding you back? Is it just that you think filling out the paperwork will be a pain in the butt, or and just get them to tell you what's really holding you back? Because if they're saying I'm going to keep what I have, that's then there's something there holding them back. It's you. It's the price savings is not enough to justify worrying about it. And that is the case sometimes. Sometimes we get somebody that calls in and they have a med sub. So this is another thing to do when you're, on PNC you can do this too, because if somebody calls in and they have a plan G and they already have the best price on Plan G, well, then we can start talking about the idea of Plan N being a better long-term solution because of the rate increase history. So if they have minimum coverage, and you say, well, one of the things we noticed with yours is, they have you on these minimum, liability limits, and something we recommend to people as they, get older and there's an increased likelihood of accidents, that we have a little bit higher liability limits, because those 50, 25, 50 or 25, 50, 25 limits aren't really adequate anymore. Those were come up with as part of the law years ago, and now there's many cars on the road that are 70, 80, 90, $100,000, and your liability limits aren't even going to pay for half of that. And so then they can come after things that you own to get that. So you can make it about the coverage rather than the price. You can't always sell on price. So, especially in P&C, probably even more so, because some of these big, huge companies, if State Farm wanted to just undercut everybody's prices, they could. They could just come in and say, screw it, we're going to have the cheapest price everywhere. And that's something like when you've been quoting recently, you're like, well, we got to wait on the Geico appointment, we got to wait on this. And then when I look at the limits, you're talking about $130 a year more. I quote the one we have. I don't care if it's the absolute best price right now. It can't always be about I have to have the best price, because you ain't always going to have the best price. State Farm sometimes going to have the best price. Alpha sometimes going to have the best price. And you can't even sell those. So you can't make it about the best price all the time.
Well, I think,
Hopefully you can.
like you said, keep them talking and identify the pain points and bring them back up. So when they're saying, I'm going to keep it, you got to identify the pain points, because if price isn't something that they're going to jump on, we've got to figure out what else is something that's bothering them about their current agency.
You could even tell a story about, I get that a lot, and so, I'll let you know that, there's been people in the past that have been with X company, some, large company, that can't shop their rates amongst multiple companies the way we can. And it's not just about the savings year one, but it's about the fact that you can call us back anytime there's a rate adjustment, and we can shop it amongst multiple companies and always keep you with a lower rate or a better rate. Always try to shop that. Because if, like MetLife is like probably a rate buster right now, but they won't be forever. It's all about what they're wanting to do in a market at the current time. And there could be another company that comes along and say, we want all the market share, so they're going to lower their rates. The same way Aetna is doing that with MedSubs right now. So
let's talk about the same objection with like a Medicare Advantage plan.
okay. So what do they have? What are you saying? Somebody that has a Medicare?
Yeah. Okay. He lives in Columbus. I've got the zero premium Humana plan.
He has zero premium Humana?
Yeah, I'm just saying,
Okay.
someone has the zero premium Humana that's down there, where hospital network isn't really a make or break.
So he's got the zero premium. Is it MAPD?
Yeah.
Okay. Humana, MAPD. See, so definitely with plan swaps, what I would be making it about, because there's going to be another zero premium there with, say, UHC, HMO, and then there's going to be, and this is a PPO, and then there's going to be a zero premium Aetna PPO now. So I'd make it about doctors, networks. I'd make it about benefit. With that, it's benefits. So if they get that objection, it would be the same thing where you're saying, okay, I completely understand that. We hear that all the time. Some people don't want to change what they're used to. Let me ask you, have you ever gone to, so I just kind of say that and then go into some more fact-finding questions. I need to find something to use against it. So if it's Humana, I'm like, do you ever want to be able to go to the Tupelo Hospital, North Mississippi, or any North Mississippi Medical Center hospital? I mean, Amory is close to them. They're kind of renowned for certain things, but then you got North Mississippi Medical Center, here, Tupelo, they've bought some other ones. Y'all should look up all the ones they bought, but they can't go there at all to any of those facilities with this one. So I'd find out if they can go to, if they ever want to do that. If they're like, no, I don't care about that at all, then I would just break it down to the extra benefits. So then it comes into dental, vision, and hearing. And I'm looking at which one's going to have the best benefits there, which one has the highest out-of-pocket limitation, which one has the lowest out-of-pocket. So you got to break it. You just have to divert around that objection by saying I understand. So like I had it in my notes to do a video called "Validation is the best rebuttal." So a lot of times people think of rebuttals, they think of like a quick thing, like I got this quick-witted thing to say. But validation is the best rebuttal. So validate their feelings about it. I understand that you've had that for a long. Nobody likes change. That I think you just have to validate their feelings and then move on to fact finding other things that you could use against the plan that they have right now. I mean,
What about a supplement to it, and they say I want to keep what I have? You just go into the rate increases, or?
You mean
Their
oh,
own
Medicare
supplement.
supplement to MA? If they want to keep what they have and they're on a Medicare supplement and you're trying to get them to an MA, that's not something I would try to beat their rate on MedSup. And if you can't do that and they're okay with their price, there is a little, like most, okay, when somebody's getting a Section A, which is a complaint to CMS, there are common ways that happens. One is moving MedSup to MA, and the other would be, this is something that there's a guy that I know that's dealt with a bunch of them recently, and he's doing MA to MA plan swaps within the same company. So goes to a house, somebody has Humana, and he swaps them to another Humana plan, mostly LIS right now, and they're not really finding what the justification for it was, other than to get him on his book so he gets the renewal. Because with Medicare Advantage, you can swap somebody from one plan to another within the same company and you pick up the residual commission. So that isn't a good reason to change them. I don't have any better.
Good morning.
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 I'm just lost. Where is the hearing center?
It's on the very back side. You'll go all the way around the side of the building here, and as soon as you turn the corner, it's the first office.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
That's right
No,
there,
you're
no
fine.
problem.
So yeah, I mean, I would, I'm not saying avoid it. Like, there are sometimes where somebody really is fed up with MedSup and they can't afford it anymore. But if they say they want to keep it, that means they can afford it.
What if their health is bad and you tried to shop it but you can't get them underwritten, and then they're like, well, I don't want to deal with it, mate. You just
Sometimes they'll still just keep it because,
keep supplement.
yeah, it's not really
you can't-
unaffordable
You
for
can't.
them.
I think it's going to be a really narrow window for somebody that says that specifically. But if they do, I would kind of, validate that feeling, and then you might can do the math with them.